El Camino, a Breaking Bad story, is now on Netflix and is the continuation, literally seconds after the Breaking Bad finale. And as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad. Absolutely love the show. That or Game of Thrones are my favorite shows. Still going back and forth. But anyways, seconds after the elements of essentially what happened with the Breaking Bad finale, we have El Camino, which happens to be a story about Jesse Pinkman. Not going to spoil what happens in Breaking Bad in case you haven't for some reason seen it. But Jesse Pinkman is on the run, played by Aaron Paul. And essentially he must outmaneuver the cops because they're searching for him, as well as other people that aren't the best of people looking for him. And he must somehow outmaneuver all of them and try to come with solace and figure out his life. This is a movie that I don't want to say I was excited for, but I also wasn't totally thinking it was going to be a train wreck because, I mean, it's Vince Gilligan. He's the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and so I have a lot of faith with him. Breaking Bad was great. I'm watching Better Call Saul right now. Stay tuned for a review for that soon. But I like him. I like Vince Gilligan. I think he knows what he's doing. And with El Camino, I like the fact that he brought back a lot of the cast members that are alive from the elements of Breaking Bad. And I liked that. I thought it was interesting. I think the acting is top-notch in this movie. I specifically liked, of course, the lead character. Aaron Paul does a great job of just slipping back into the shoes of Jesse Pinkman with ease. Absolutely loved it. I love the first 15 minutes. It takes place seconds after the events of the final season of Breaking Bad. So you had that intensity, you know, like you can watch the finale and go right into this, and it's just kind of like, holy cow, it's awesome. But not only that, I think that I really liked the score, the cinematography. It was shot in 4K. And Netflix does 4K streaming, so it was awesome to get to experience that. But yeah, I like the score. I like Dave Porter's score. I like the way it was shot. The shootout, there's like a shootout. I'm not going to spoil why it happens or when it happens, but there's a shootout. And I liked it, but I didn't like it. But I will say what I liked. I liked the fact that it reminded me so much of like a Sergey Leone shootout. If you've seen like Once Upon a Time in the West, or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or any of his other movies, you'll know that he has this meticulous way of shooting. Like he'll have it where with the gun, you'll see the gun holster, be a close-up of that, close-up of the eyes, going back and forth between the two characters, and then obviously after a while, the intensity kind of is ensuing, and then there's a fight. He does that, and I like it because Vince Gilligan has always said that Breaking Bad is a neo-Western, and I agree with him, so I like how El Camino kind of pays tribute to that. At the same time, I will say that I'll get into the negatives of that shootout because, again, I'm mixed about it. But I liked that. I liked, for the most part, the dialogue. I thought the dialogue was on point. I liked some of the references it makes to previous seasons of Breaking Bad. But other than that, like, I think it's a rock-solid movie. I don't think it's a great movie. Like, I think technical aspects and acting aside, I was feeling like I wanted a bit more from what was going on, and maybe it was just because I personally am one of those people that think that Breaking Bad just stands on its own. Better Call Saul, it's good so far, but I just believe Breaking Bad holds on its own, and I think that one of the things that makes that show so great is the fact that you have a lead character with such a strong base who has supporting characters that help him out along the way, and they are interesting too because they all stream from the lead character in one way or another, which is great. So when you're focusing on a movie that's about a side character, albeit I like the side character, it does kind of make things less exciting and invigorating. There were some scenes in this movie that I was kind of like dulled by. Like, my best example of this is that I said it in my letterbox review, so I'll say it now. First 15 minutes is great. Second act is kind of meh, kind of dull. And then final act, it picks up and it's like, you know, entertaining, albeit kind of predictable. So that's just kind of my feelings. Like, if I were to end the review right now, that would be my feelings. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means, but I think that it could have stretched the limits of this. You know, he already did that with film genres. And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, it's supposed to be simplistic and just kind of like nuanced. And it's like, I get that. But at the same time, when you come out 6 years later, you want to have reason for it other than it just being so simple that it's kind of like almost like throwaway. Like, that's the thing. A lot of people are hyping up El Camino at Breaking Bad story, but I'm not going to lie. Like, when I talk about Breaking Bad, this is going to be like an afterthought because, again, there were just certain elements where I just kind of felt like it was too similar to Breaking Bad. Like I mentioned, the shootout. I liked that it was paying tribute to Sergey Leone, but at the same time, I think it was a little bit too close to what happened in the final episode of Breaking Bad with one of the final scenes. That's just my opinion. I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's why it's so cool because it's like they have similar arcs," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I personally don't like it. You know, I kind of wish it was a little bit different. I like the way they shot it and everything and the gist of it, but I just thought it was a little too similar, just with how they went about it." I also mentioned the pacing. I thought it was a bit bumpy in that middle part. And I think the way it ended, I said it shortly just thereafter, but it was essentially what I already thought Jesse Pinkman was going to do. You know, when Breaking Bad ended, I had this idea in my mind, and I'm not going to say what it is because it's kind of a spoiler for the movie, but I had this idea on where he was going to go. You know, I liked that whole anticipation of being able to say your theory on how he ended up being. My theory is essentially what happened to Jesse Pinkman in the end of a 2-hour movie. So I think it stinks because it's like, for me personally, it kind of took away the relevance because it's like, well, I knew that, you know, I knew that. So it just kind of, it stinks for me personally, but I don't want you guys to think I hated this movie. I don't. Like, I think it's a solid movie. I just think when you're riding off the success of such a great show, and when I say riding, I mean, I know it came out 6 years later, but it is essentially riding off that success because if you're not a Breaking Bad fan or a fan of like Better Call Saul, you might be a little bit lost with what's going on. So that's why I'm saying I feel like it's a film for the fans, I should say, because it's kind of like the Deadwood movie that came out earlier this year. It's specifically for the fans. And I'm saying that I know a lot of fans will eat up this movie, but for me personally, I didn't eat it up. I thought it was solid. It was more than passable, but it also wasn't great the way Breaking Bad was. Not comparing and contrasting too much, but I also just kind of feel like when you're off the heels of that, it is important to be up to that quality. It's the equivalent of you just had like $100 meal, and then all of a sudden after that, you eat like Burger King. It's like, I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts, though. El Camino, Breaking Bad story, I personally, again, it's solid entertainment. I didn't love it, but I think it's solid entertainment. And that's why, for me personally, I will be giving El Camino, Breaking Bad story a 3.5 to 5 star rating, which, for those like a hot sauce rating, is the good old Texas Pete rating. So, again, it's rock solid. Don't love it, don't hate it. But, guys, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on El Camino, a Breaking Bad story. What did you think, Rick? Did you like it? Did you not? Comment section down below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.